Okay, so I'm live. It's like 7:50 p.m. I'm live. It's dark outside, so you know what that means. I hope you're watching this in the morning and not right now. I knew if I didn't get online and at least drop this someplace, I would have gotten so caught up in the day two announcements here at ServiceNow Knowledge, I would not have dropped any of my comments or my thoughts on day one of ServiceNow Knowledge. And let's all just be honest with each other just for this moment. I'm just gonna say something to y'all. You guys get this, like my ultimate note-taking exercise, right? Like, it's not that I don't love coming and talking to my face when I'm in hotels in various parts of the globe. And you know how I love showing you guys the sphere? Like, it's some cool stuff today. And, I figured that's the payment. Like, that's the price you get. You get the value. My value add is the coolness of the sphere going off and back of me. There's an Eagles promo later. My secret is I'm going to be an Eagles influencer and I'll get a cut for every ticket. I'm not getting a cut for anything. Okay, let's get to it because it's late and I want to touch on these things. So day one, ServiceNow Knowledge. No one's going to be surprised when I say that a good deal of day one was talking about AI and some announcements in AI that ServiceNow has made. What I think you guys are going to be surprised about hearing me say is that this wasn't what we've come to expect from technology announcements around AI. It's a lot, it's like we expect it's going to be a lot of like cool demos. Oh my God, it did something I didn't think it was going to do. And look at, we're the only ones to do this and we're the only ones to do that. Like it's a lot of flash. But I think sometime around spring, like March-ish, we started seeing a lot of events where pragmatic and practical and real use that you could actually go and put into operations at scale this week, today, tomorrow, right? We started seeing that practical come to light. And I think ServiceNow has definitely leaned into that because it has to. ServiceNow is probably more than a lot of its competitors and more than a lot of organizations out there. They are a customer innovation and customer demand driven organization. There are very few things here, and it reminds me, it's very, very similar to AWS, right? In that they're not just going and creating for the sake of spending R&D dollars or spending down some imaginary roadmap that they came up with 5 years ago and have zero intention of actually getting to the end of. These are things that customers have come to them and either said, hey, this is what we're doing, and it's really been helping our business. Can you help us do more of it? Oh, hey, help us solve this problem because we've built our instance this way, and we think that this is pretty cool. And then all of a sudden that becomes a product, or it becomes a problem, a wish, an issue that customers, especially IT-driven customers that are exceedingly service-minded and are exceedingly experience-minded, are coming back to ServiceNow and saying, I'm already doing this on ServiceNow. I wish I could tackle this thing over here that I don't think you do. And ServiceNow leans into that pretty significantly. I think it's how we've seen their own evolution, kind of starting from that core of problem solving in ITSM and really rolling into these other very dynamic service offerings, and now into these sales and these revenue generating offerings, whether it is CRM, whether it is the addition of CPQ. It is really this very interesting evolution that ServiceNow has taken. And it would be hard to argue that push, that drive, that quarterback hurling the ball down the field isn't one guy named Bill McDermott. And he has the support and the really the belief of the board, of his teams, of his executive teams, of his engineering teams, that when he's throwing the ball, that he's playing to win. And that he's playing to win because he's heard the customer. He's seen the market. He's listened to weirdo analysts like us, right? And he's throwing because he knows that his team will work and run, and that he and his team and his customers will be there to catch the ball. And that was certainly on display, big time, on the keynote stage. I tweeted out a couple really great quotes that I pulled from the keynote from Mr. McDermott. I've had the pleasure of seeing Bill McDermott in keynote mode for years now, even well before ServiceNow. He's always been super dynamic. He's always been just like weirdly approachable, yet on a massive stage. Like you feel like you could, now granted you'd be tackled by security, but you feel like you could kind of walk up and just like banter with him, right? He is extremely dynamic. He's, it's hard to describe if you don't see him, but it is like there is passionate truth in what he believes and how he communicates it. And he's always been like that. This is not a ServiceNow phenomenon. This is a Bill McDermott phenomenon. But here's what I will say that I really enjoyed seeing today. He was having fun. When I would watch Bill McDermott on, let's say, an SAP stage, he was inspirational, aspirational, all of those things. A driver for change, a real advocate for transformation. But today I saw someone who was all of those things and dancing, right? He was having fun. He was having a good time. And you know what? There are a handful of other CEOs that I would say are having as good of a time, right? He's having fun watching his teams innovate and catching up to that ball he hurls down the field. He is enjoying reinventing and rethinking CRM. He is enjoying seeing how AI is going to change work, change business. And I think he's having a really good time. And that was something really nice to see. I think that culture and that positive vibe absolutely pushes them forward. And I think it pushes the team forward. I like that it does that. I think that it is beyond, hey, Leonard, miss your face, buddy. Sorry, squirrel moment. But this is what happens when people comment and I'm live. I get to say hi to them. But I will say that for the keynote today, a lot of the innovations and a lot of the announcements came around, well, AI orchestration, AI control tower, and the data and all the governance that comes along with that. I think that there is no way for me to go into it all tonight. We're probably going to have to post something later and maybe write up a little bit about kind of all the things that we've heard today. But here's what I really want to emphasize. This is not about AI that sits on, in, and for ServiceNow tools to utilize just for ServiceNow. This is a continuation of a longstanding theme that ServiceNow has had of being the platform of platforms. And as much as they want to be that connection point where work really flows, and that there might be an inbound point that starts a workflow, there might be a workflow that comes after that is a system or solution that sits outside of ServiceNow. This idea of a platform of platforms has now extended to being an AI platform of AI platforms. What ServiceNow is envisioning is a work in which autonomous action, this agentic AI we've all been talking about, does not necessarily have a start and a stop. It has points of improvement and continuation. It's the idea that digital transformation doesn't have a stop, like it doesn't have an end destination. We don't get there and go, woo, like there's always going to be a process that can be improved. There's always going to be additional reasoning. There's always going to be new texture and context. And that is what ServiceNow is really trying to enable. So a lot of the control tower features of being able to say, listen, yes, you're setting up this agent, but this is how the agents are orchestrated and controlled and governed and where these models come through. These are the important things that we're going to be talking about, and ServiceNow is tackling a lot of those issues. So I'll put out a laundry list over the next several days. And my colleague, Martin Schneider, who covers, of course, growth and revenue technologies and sales, he is also here. So, hey, if him, because he's going to be talking a whole lot about, I'm sure, what kind of that sales, what that revenue and what that growth function feels like. I'll follow through with certainly a lot of the service announcements, a lot of the AI announcements, and of course, my favorite thing that I like to shock and confuse everybody with, this whole thing around CPQ, which is not just a quoting tool. It is an experiential moment and an opportunity to get high fidelity signal from your customers, and don't forget it. We'll talk about that probably in a wrap up after the event, but here's what I want you guys to think about. When Bill McDermott was talking in his keynote, he said something super interesting. At least I thought it was super interesting. And I get weird. He talked about the fact that there couldn't be artificial intelligence without human intelligence. And the way he understands, articulates, and believes AI and agentic AI is here and here to stay is that it is the mechanism that moves humans up the value chain. We haven't heard that from a lot of folks. What we tend to hear, especially from CEOs who are selling agents and agentic solutions, is that this can be a replacement. Right? You're going to have your agents do all these amazing things. And you're going to keep your humans in the loop. And maybe your humans are going to do these high value, maybe they're going to do some higher value things, but maybe they're not. And maybe you can get all this operational efficiency and effectiveness. And maybe you got rid of some of those pesky people. In Bill McDermott and ServiceNow's iteration and articulation of AI is that step that helps humans reach that next rung of the value chain. It makes us that much more important. And I think this is language we're going to start hearing a lot more of. I think we started hearing it at Adobe in Max in London, how we were talking about updates that were quality of life updates. Here at ServiceNow, we're not just talking about productivity, but we heard a case study from AstraZeneca where, yes, they recovered thousands of hours in their day for work productivity, but those hours could be directly tied back to then giving employees, doctors, pharmacists, more time with their families and their kids. It's not about having more time to work. It's about having more time to be human. And finding those things and finding those moments that spark the creativity and spark the ingenuity and spark the innovation that this economy runs on. So if there's something I'm taking away from day one, along with all the announcements, there's so many announcements. God, there are a lot of announcements and they're very good ones. So we'll follow up with those. But the thing I'm taking away here is that ServiceNow has always been rooted in an idea that service wasn't an inconvenience. Service wasn't something that you just had to get rid of so fast. Get rid of it, get out of it. Service has meaning, service has value. And that value, that tangible feeling in that asset, that's that human intelligence he's talking about. So, we got 2 more days of this, people. Oh God, it's a lot. It's long. There's a lot of this. There's a lot of stuff. I'm gonna try to find another place where look at it. Like there's a lot of stuff back there. Like it gets really cool. Anyway, squirrel, sorry. Have a great night or a morning or a day. I'll keep you guys posted. Can you tell I'm having a hard time finding the end live stream button? It's like on my own blooper reel. Good God.